Well, here we are. Another season has come and gone. Season two, it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of laughs, talked to a lot of interesting people that I know. Hmm, you know, what would really make this a very interesting season two finale? Maybe if I interviewed the sister of the person who was the season one finale guest. Yeah, you know what? That's exactly what I'll do. Special guest, Megan Shipp. This episode of The Performers I Know coming at you! These are the performers I know. These are the performers I know. These are the performers I know. These are performers I know. These are the performers I know. These are the performers I know. These are the performers I know. These are performers I know. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the season two finale of The Performers I Know. This is episode number 26. Now, this is a very interesting situation, ladies and gentlemen, because this week, my guest, all the way from Studio, Pennsylvania, she is the sister of Shannon Shipp, who was the guest for my season one finale, and she's the guest for season two finale. It's funny how things like this work. She's a ballet dancer, and she occasionally dabbles in doing theater and all that wonderful stuff. Please welcome my guest, Megan Shipp. Megan, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
You're welcome. Now, once upon a time, when I met Shannon, of course, I met her entire family, and that includes her sister, Megan. Now, Megan, my first question to you, as I ask all of my guests, what got you bitten by well, I guess I can say the dancing bug because that is your forte, is dancing and ballet. What got you interested in doing dancing and ballet?
Well, when I was young, I started actual dance classes when I was 3, but I was just always dancing around the house. I wouldn't just sit in a room. I always dance around the kitchen, and I couldn't just sit there looking at walls like normal people. So I found inspiration in connecting to music and motion.
Oh, that's deep. I like that. Though generally speaking, I tend to not look at walls either unless there's something like really interesting, like, oh, I never noticed that blood trickling down the wall. That's really how where did that come from? So you were always inspired by just the music and aspect of it, yes?
Yes.
And do you remember the first kind of ballet or dance kind of show that you did?
I'm not sure, but if I had to guess, it was probably the Nutcracker.
Ah, yes, the Nutcracker, in which you played the Mouse King, of course. No, no, I was spitballing.
Nope, not at such a little age.
No, of course not. You wouldn't. I don't think they would want a 3-year-old on stage like goo goo gaga to you, Clara. I'm going to take you away. That would be ridiculous. But yes, so not only has Megan done a lot of that ballet and theater, but she has done a few of my shows. And the first major one that she did was quite a few years ago when we did the Book of Weights, where I actually used her talent for dancing to put it to use. And she was in a segment where she played a ballet dancer which was based off of Tom Waits's more sensitive side as a musician and a songwriter. Megan, what was it like to perform in this show? Well, not only you performed with your sister Shannon, but also the fact that you were performing, doing something that was not exactly in your wheelhouse. That is to say, You had no idea who Tom Waits was. Did you just, but you just launched right into it, or did you want to do like a little research first?
I didn't do a lot of research. I did understand who he was by the time I did the performance, but I mostly listened to the music and understood what I was connecting to.
Yes. Well, you actually gave us one of the funniest moments during rehearsal because one thing that I remember, even from such a young age, that you used to like to bust Shannon's chops. I mean, I'm probably you sure you still do, I would suspect.
Oh, of course.
Yes, of course. So one of the scenes involved Talon Arbizu, and he was playing opposite a girl named Kate, and I believe Kate was sick on this particular day. So Shannon was like, "Oh, all right, I'll fill in for I'll fill in for Kate for to do this scene." And the scene involved one kiss at the end. So they did the scene and Shannon skipped over it. And all of a sudden this little voice pipes up, "No, no, 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 no. The scene says you're supposed to kiss, so you have to kiss Tal." And there's Megan, big grin on her face, devious, devious smile. And Shannon and Megan started going back and forth, like, "No, I'm just filling in for Kate. I'm not playing the role. No, 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 no. You have to do it." And finally, and this is the part that I quote a lot, Megan just goes, "I want to see a big smooch on the lips." I thought Shannon was going to murder you that day. I don't. I guess you don't seem to have any kind of recollection of that or any comments otherwise.
Oh, well, I do remember bits and pieces, but even from such a young age, I used my very smart brain and knew if they were acting a scene, they had to act the entire scene.
I mean, yeah, that's true. Just remember, I took you aside and I was just like, "Megan, just stop busting your sister's chops." But it's funny, isn't it? Well, yeah, it is kind of funny, but still, just leave her alone. So, yes. So um, you've done an enormous amount of ballet, I would suspect. What what in particular was one of your favorite kind of ballets that you did? If you do, in fact, remember any kind of particular dances that you performed.
So, yes, I have done many ballets. Um, I don't think I could pick a particular one because each show that I have done has been so unique and different compared to the last. But if I had to say one of the best ones each time I do it, definitely the Nutcracker. It's a classic. You can't go wrong with it. And I've gotten to do so many different roles each show that it's just amazing to see what I find new every single time I do the show.
Yes, indeed, and do. Um, what particular roles do you remember? Like what roles you've played? Because I know because there was one year that I went to see you do the show where you played Party Girl and I believe a Sugar Plum Fairy as well.
I have not been Sugar Plum Fairy because that is more of a principal role, but I have done Protocol, and I think I was probably Trumpet Soldier as well. So those are two of the roles. I've also done Snow, Chinese, Angel, Spanish, Russian.
Chainsaw juggler. Just checking to see if you were paying attention.
Yes.
Yes. One of my favorite, well, two of my favorite actually dances that you've done, um, are committed to memory because when we did our famous American Tail um, virtual show, you did a little dance as a kind of sort of mid-show spectacle where you now did you choreograph that yourself from scratch?
Yes, I did.
Ah, and you were 11 years old when you did that. When I was 11 years old, I was sitting on the swing sets, picking my nose. I never was able to do choreographing of such caliber. And I'm actually looking at, right as we speak, a clip of Megan doing this little ballet that she did. And boy, I tell you, the look, the poise on your face was just absolutely incredible. Did it ever inspire you to not just do ballet, but aspire you to be a choreographer as you got older?
Um, I haven't really thought about that, but I definitely could see myself making some sort of choreography in my future. Yes.
Yeah. I would definitely, considering the fact how you pulled off that American Tail dance so very well, I really feel like you could easily become a choreographer and knock everybody's socks off. The other one that you did that really brought me to such lovely tears of happiness and joy is we had you do a ballet for our season preview show back in February of 2020, where you did a ballet to the song Hands to Heaven from Breathe. Another one, well, let me back up a bit. I had originally wanted to create my own kind of ballet with Megan as the lead role, but because of COVID, that whole idea just went asunder. And I had given her this opportunity to do a little ballet routine just to say, like, hey, this is Megan Shipp. I'm going to put her in a ballet and have her as the lead. And yes, was it interesting to do a ballet to something a little more not because Breathe, Hands to Heaven is just a pop song from the 80s. Was it an interesting kind of task to be able to choreograph that yourself?
Yes, I remember listening to the music for the first time, and it was definitely something I had never really heard before to try to dance to it. But as I listened to it, I could just imagine so much potential for things that I could do to connect to the lyrics in the song.
Of course, absolutely. Remember when I said that there were two ballet dances that she did that were wonderful? It turns out I lied. There's a third one because another um, dance that I remember Megan doing. Well, her mom actually showed it to me as something that you were working on. This was something for Red Riding Hood. You were dancing on point, and I actually believe, as we speak, you are in the midst of rehearsing for something called the Carnival of the Animals or the Sleeping Beauty Ballet, and you're playing Little Red Riding Hood, or is that a misnomer?
No, that is correct. I was recently cast as Little Red Riding Hood in Sleeping Beauty, and it is a joint show with Carnival of the Animals. So, yes.
Now I see I'm not very well versed in ballet synopsises, so I just don't know like what does Little Red Riding Hood have to do with Sleeping Beauty? Like how does she fit into this show?
So this is a very common question. Sleeping Beauty is among a few other lead characters who all dance for Sleeping Beauty and the King and Queen as it is Sleeping Beauty's wedding. So there are a few different characters who come together and perform for the King and Queen and Sleeping Beauty.
Okay, so, but like, does she fall asleep again, or like,
No,
no, or yes?
no.
No. Okay, so again, I am somebody who has absolutely no knowledge of it. So it's like, well, why is it called Sleeping Beauty if she's not asleep? Like, I don't get it. But you know, what do I know? I'm not a really a ballet connoisseur. Um, so yes, Megan has done a lot of great stuff, and she hasn't just done shows with me. She actually did a show with one of her schools, a very rare outing when it comes to working on the stage in an acting sense. I believe the show is called Robin Hood and the Sherwood Hoodies or something to that extent.
Yes, I think it was Robin Hood in Sherwood Forest, I believe.
Something to that extent. And so how, because I didn't even know that you were involved in that until your mom and your sister was like, "Oh yeah, Megan is gonna be in a show." Like, oh, okay, like, and so I said, "Oh, so is it like a ballet?" They go, "No, it's a play. She's in a show." Oh, how about that? So how did that all come about? You doing that wonderfully wacky show?
Yes, so it was, I believe I was in sixth grade, and the school does this yearly spring show. So the director decided, why not do this particular show and have these grades be able to audition and perform in the show? So I said, well, I'm busy with dance and schoolwork, but I would really love to act in this play. So I decided to audition and I got the role of Willow, which is a branch off from Will Scarlet. It was the female version. So yeah.
And did you get to show any kind of dancing skills, or was it more acting based?
No, it was more acting and stuff.
Okay, so just I'm looking at my notes, and it is called Robin and the Sherwood Hoodies. Don't ask me why that's the name of it. Just I guess ask Craig Haas because he's the one who wrote it. But I've seen clips of this show from various casts, and it seems like it's kind of a wacky show. There's a guy with a ventriloquist dummy and somebody with big bulging muscles. I'm not even sure what's going on half the time. If you maybe Megan, if you can give me a little like a brief synopsis of what exactly it is that's going on here.
Yes, so I do not remember a whole lot because it was some time ago, but we did a little bit of a child version of what you may have seen online. It is, I believe the plot is when, sorry, I'm forgetting his name, Robin Hood, when Robin Hood goes to the extent to help the poor to steal from the rich and give to the poor. So there is this entire scene where he has to dress up and go undercover to a bowling alley to win these prizes and give them out to the poor without the royals or the guards noticing him so that he can achieve what he wants to and bring the poor out of poverty.
You know, I was with you up until you said a bowling alley, and then my mind just went like a bowling alley. Really? No archery, no sword fights, just bowling. Okay, that sounds pretty wacky, pretty interesting. But yes, so it was lovely. And do you see yourself doing any other kind of non-dancing shows anytime soon, or are you just kind of like picking and choosing what you want?
No, I just kind of bounce around. If I see something I like, I'll go for it, but I'm mostly committed to my dancing now.
Do you have any kind of dream roles, or have you not really thought of it that much?
Um, guess I haven't really thought of it.
She wants to play tree number 7 in Carnival of the Animals. I'm almost certain of it. The next major thing that Megan did with me, she was in an episode of I Do Voices where she played Cinderella, and she got to listen to me do all sorts of wacky impressions. She bounced off of it very well, and I'm going to be alone forever. What was it like doing a sort of a voiceover role for yourself in that instance?
It was interesting. I was younger, so I didn't really understand a whole lot of why it had to be that certain way and what a voiceover really was. So I remember just standing in front of a computer reading lines, being like, what am I doing? Why
Well,
am I talking to a computer?
one of my friends, her name is Alessandra. She enjoyed the way you went Al Pacino with that absolute confusion in your voice, and apparently that was a genuine confusion as to who Al Pacino was.
Yes.
Yeah, so see, she didn't have to act to do that one, ladies and gentlemen. I can tell you, I can attest to that. And that brings us to a little over 2 years ago, where, as you are all well aware, we did Daniel, My Brother as a full-length play, and Shannon played the lead role. And I said to myself, who better to play the younger version of Shannon than her actual younger sister? And so there Megan was on stage, watching as Daniel's first spiral into horrible drugness and whatnot. What was it like to take on something of that caliber? Because, I mean, besides Robin and the Sherwood Hoodies and Book of Waits, this was the only other show you had ever done. And the other two shows were more comedy based. This was more grounded in drama. What was it? Was it an interesting departure from what you're used to?
Yes. Um, I remember really trying to read and understand the script, and I just really I got I was able to imagine what my character would actually be thinking about during like these really interesting and intense scenes. So I would say it's definitely a lot different from the comedies that I used to do.
And the best part about it is you got to watch your sister slap me across the face.
Yes, I made sure to watch that moment on stage.
Well, I didn't talk about this when I interviewed Shannon, but I will regale you with this very quick story. So when we were setting up to choreograph the scene where she slaps me, I remember Shannon being like, well, like, how are we going to do this? What exactly are we going to, how are we going to make? So I said, Shannon, I don't do this very often. This is a very rare instance, but I will let you actually slap me across the face. And the look on your sister's face was just like this gleeful, almost evil look of like, really? And I remember saying, Shannon, please don't make me regret giving you this permission. Don't like, don't hurt me, but you can slap me. And the first time we actually rehearsed it, she clobbered me across the face, and I was just like, "Oh, good job, Shannon. Good job. That was great. Was great, good." And you were just tickled by it, just seeing your sister obliterate the side of my face. I think my face was had a handprint on it for a good 2 days afterwards.
Yes, I do remember that handprint.
Oh yes, I'm so glad the Ship sisters were so tickled by it. So yes, so are there any other dancing projects that you have coming up after Carnival of the Animals slash Sleeping Beauty?
I No formal shows for the rest of the season, but I do know that there's going to be a minor showcase with my dance studio of just a collection of variations for ballet and exercises from classes that my classmates and I have been working on throughout the year, just as a little performance for parents and anyone who wants to come see what we've been working on all year.
Do you have any solos or is it more group dances?
It is more of group dances. I do have one or two duets with someone.
That's nice. Are you allowed to say what you're doing or is it kind of like hush hush?
Um, Not really sure, but they're just variations, various variations that my teacher assigned to everyone based on our skill level.
All right. Well, that is fun, fun, fun to hear. I always like seeing Megan doing her dancing. But as I look at the old clock on the wall, I see that we are starting to run out just of a little bit of time. But I do have time for one last question as we end this episode off. Megan, if somebody were to come up to you and say, "Hey, Megan, I want to get into doing dancing and ballet," what would be your piece of advice that you would give them in order to best jump into it and to excel the best that they can?
I would more than likely say go for it. Some people may be better than you around you, but the only person that you should be watching is yourself, and your success will follow if you put in the work. And there are so many people who will believe in you if you choose to begin and excel and continue to work at what you really want to do.
Once again, Megan going very deep there. Very, I love it. It gives me chills. Well, as our outro plays us out, I want to extend my very, very deepest thanks to Megan for being here today. Megan, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for season 2 of The Performers I Know. Stay tuned for season 3. We're going to have a lot more great guests, a lot of fun, and a lot of laughs too. But until then, see you all next time.